Freedom is calling us. Hello, everyone. Welcome
Well, hello.
to Friday Live with Lorenzo and Campbell. And guess what? We hate to say it. Actually, we love to say it. It's all your fault. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. So welcome, everyone in chat. And welcome, Lorenzo. How you doing, mate?
I'm doing good. I've been looking forward to this one all week. It's all your fault. It's all my fault. My life, my responsibility, wherever I am. In fact, a funny experience happened to me last night, when I was asleep and considering this very live stream that we're doing. My wife, who happens to talk in her sleep sometimes, woke me up with the very pointed saying, "Why did you choose this?" That came to me in the middle of my night. Very interesting. Why did you choose this? So it's something I wanted to bring to everyone here when they come across a situation that seems horrible, that seems untenable, that seems something that they can't even fix, face, or get over, whatever the challenge is, small or big. Maybe if you ask yourself, as I have been since too early this morning, why did I ask for this? You may get an answer to help you with why it's all your fault and what you're trying to get over from this point moving forward.
Yeah, it's like that Talking Heads song, right? You may find yourself in a beautiful house with a beautiful wife, and you may ask yourself, how did I get here?
Yeah.
And this happens all the time. How many people do that, around, our wise age? A lot of people sort of realize they've worked 20, 30 years at something that didn't get them where they wanted to go.
No.
Excuse me. And most of the time, that's the mask we talk about a lot. Trying to be someone you're not, trying to fit into society. Trying to become someone else's version of what they want you to be. So, why are you where you are? That's a very good question. And I mean, I guess the answer is because of all the decisions and actions we've taken. So, if you want things to change, I guess things have to change, right? And if it's not your fault where you've ended up, you can't. How are you going to change that? Because everyone else has put you there. So doesn't that mean that they have to then put you out of that? So this is the power of it's all your fault. People think it's oh my God, it's bad. It's not. It's very empowering because it means you have the power to change things. It means you're no longer a victim. It means you're where you are because of you. And the great thing is it means you can change it.
Yep. I mean, I see a comment here already. Sue Spectacular. I'm looking for life's missing love. Are you on here? Yes. Yes, love is here. Love is there. Love is in your lap. Love is everywhere. And if you feel you're missing love as a person, because it sounds like that could be the case, and I could be wrong, that could be what's missing. Like, why did you ask? You could ask yourself to be in a position where, let's say you're single. And again, I'm just guessing. I've never met you, but you're trying to find your life's missing love. And I've been there, thinking it's a person for many years. So, I get what you're saying. But, even though you may find that person, unless you find that love inside, it will be missing. Right? And then you can ask yourself, how did I get here? Or why am I here alone or feeling lonely? And the answers are usually surprising and almost always empowering when you're honest with yourself.
I agree. And hello, Sue, and who else was it? Someone else in Denmark? Griffin.
Oh.
I'm in Perth as well. So, 7 a.m. Friday morning here. And I see that someone said, I don't need to change anything at all.
Nice.
I would say that's not really a good thing, though, is it? I would say, I mean, we're not down here to sit on the couch. The job's never done. The journey's never over. So if you're, what does that mean? You're perfect. What does that mean? You just sit in the lotus position until, this is the thing, right? There's always something to change. If you're not striving to be better and more of yourself, then what are you doing? I guess is my question. I don't see that there's an end to this ever. So first of all, if you need to change nothing, then great. You should be spectacularly awesome and happy in that. But I mean, are you changing the world? Are you making the world better? Are you thinking about the future? Are you working on yourself? I think being in a place that you think you don't need to change is probably when you need to change the most. Because I would say that's a mask. Sorry if I'm triggering people.
No, no, it's true. I figure we are all perfect, but we're perfect in that we have perfect opportunity to make our life perfectly the way that our hearts are asking us to do it. And, I can't say anything about Colin. It means I have love in my heart. I've never hurt anyone and I keep it real. I mean, that's fantastic. I'm happy you have that opinion. I would love to hear more of your story, but, I find it a little suspect in that I don't think I've ever met anyone that hasn't hurt anyone even by accident with a mean word or a mean look. But again, I could be wrong. You could be the one being that's never hurt anyone, always happy in their heart, nothing's ever wrong, and that's amazing. And I would love to hear more of your story. Then maybe you want to write us. Campbell put our email below, info@newagora.ca. Perhaps share a story on how you became the perfect being, how you're having a perfect life, and how you're perfectly happy with perfectly everything. Might be something we can perfectly share with the rest of the class, as they say. And it could be a gigantic, mountainous movement of awareness for all of us. So I'd be happy to hear your story.
Yes, and we love you, Colin. This is not a, this is just using you as an example because most people we come from the same society. We all kind of think the same things. Really, have these same ideas of what it is to be a human and have a life and all this kind of stuff. But this is what we keep coming back to is that's all outside white noise, right? The outside doesn't know who you are and what's inside you. That's for us to consider and work on. And Lorenzo said, why are you where you are? A good point. If you are happy and you're like, wow, this, I've figured out all this stuff. Well, why is that? How did you get there? Again, right? How did you get there? Go and share it with some people. People need this information. People out there are struggling, especially at the moment with all the changes going on. So if you figured anything out, use it to help people, right? This is the thing. It's like we have all these gifts inside of us, and society loves to tell us to keep them in and to shut up because if you speak, you'll look stupid. But I'm pretty sure those years are gone at the moment. I think that's all out the window. That's 2019, right? So yeah, why are you where you are, good or bad? How did you get there? What decisions did you make? Are you still making them? What can you change to get somewhere different, to get somewhere better, somewhere that you'd rather experience?
Yeah, and I would be delighted. I remember when I was 27 and I was working in the financial industry in Toronto. I came home one day, it was a Friday. I had a big paycheck. I had my fridge was full of food. I had a lot of cookies on my counter. I was having a party that weekend. The fridge was stocked with alcohol and beer, and all my friends were coming over. And I remember saying to myself, I looked around my house with my fancy couch at the time and my fancy wall hangings, and I said, I made it. I'm here. I'm happy. I can't believe I finally have everything I've always wanted. This is amazing. I can stop now. I don't have anywhere to go. I still, I recall sitting there and saying that to myself. But then very recently after that, a huge amount of depression and sadness hit me because, I realized at the time for myself, I had reached a pinnacle of material wealth. That was something I thought I always wanted, early on in my life. But, the rest, my love, my heart, my feelings, my emotions, my desires for adventure, etc., etc. Well, I'll tell you, 2 years later, they came crashing down, and I ended up in a tiny cabin on the mountains of Mexico, wondering what the fuck is going, what the fuck am I going to do, as the song says, because I didn't know what the hell was going on with my life.
How did I get here?
How did I get here?
Yeah, yeah, and that's a common story. And it's like I said before, people spend all this time building a persona, right? Building this life of someone that's not really them, and then they're like they sort of like have a realization of what am I doing? What's all this stuff worth? But what happens a lot is because you're not aligned with that stuff, because you're fighting with it, I guess, in your subconscious. The universe often will just take it all away really quickly to give you a hand, right? It's there to help you. It's there to say, look, you don't need all this stuff, but it doesn't seem that way when it happens. I can guarantee you that.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you hate money. You want to use this to control people. I'll just take that away. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
And this is why it's important to work on yourself, because if you're the kind of person that can lose $1 million and go, oh, that's all right, because I'm the value, not what's in the bank. It's me. Then it doesn't matter. That'll just appear again.
Of course.
So yeah.
Of course. And Colin, you say you're married, 4 children, happy, dinner, food on the table. No one's taking anything away from you. I'm not saying you shouldn't be happy and you're not perfectly excited and perfectly good in your life. We just simply said perhaps you'd like to share that with everyone else, how you got there, and there could be some beautiful points and ideas for others to benefit from your experience, because there are people I've come across that are perfectly happy, perfectly content, and perfectly satisfied with their life, and that's fantastic. And for the person who commented, I don't know who it was, who wants to be in a cabin in Mexico, I don't think you'd want to be in the cabin I was in. There was an outdoor baño. I slept on a concrete floor. There was donkeys and chickens every night. There was no cold running water, and it was scary as for me at the time, with the life that I had. But maybe there's beautiful cabins to exist in as well.
Indeed, right? Yeah, and that's the thing is, that might be amazing to someone, right? What's bad for us is not necessarily bad for anyone. I mean, Lorenzo's there going, "Oh my God, where's my $1 million? I'm in this bloody shed with chickens." But someone else might be like, "Oh my God, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Look at the view here. Look at the chickens. I love it." Because we're not all going to the same place, right? So where do you want to end up, and where are you, and why are you there? And if you've built, this is the thing, like, I think the kind of ultimate, existence is when, you're just out there doing your thing, and you don't, need to be so involved with the system. So if you are out there, in your garden every day, raising children, that's awesome. But at the same time, you're still doing something. You're still raising children. You're still working out how to teach them better, how to get something, how to create better futures, how to grow better. So we're always on this path of getting better. And we see what happens when people stop, right? And they sit down and they're like, "Oh, it's too hard. I'm going to, watch Netflix and order a pizza." We see these people, they come out, they come out of their house 6 months later and they just start screaming at everyone. Change, it's your fault. It's your fault. And that's really the point of this video, right? Nothing changes for them when they go and scream at the world, "Change, it's your fault." But people who go and find a mirror and go, "Don't like where I am. I think this is my fault. What do I have to change?" They change things.
Yeah, I mean, really, what we're saying is, yeah. Thank you very much, Dave's Waffle House. That's amazing. I've never had a donation from a waffle place before, although I love waffles, so that's amazing. I appreciate that for sure. What we're really saying with everyone, before too many people get triggered, is that you make your dream any way you choose, and that's what I've always meant by "it's your fault." We all do. Everyone's living in their own dream. Everyone has their own experiences. Everyone can course correct or make how they or what they would like to experience a reality by taking full responsibility for it. So, the fellow here or the lady that's really happy with their life, no one's arguing with you. That's amazing. It's amazing that you've made your life beautiful. It's amazing that you've made your life fantastic. I wonder why you're at a course like this or you're at a chat like this. It's all your fault. I'm very curious about that. I would love to hear your opinions and your reasons for joining us. I don't know if you've listened to other videos we've done or you've been here at other Fridays or any of that. But again, I've done some great things in my life that I've shared with people that have helped them. I've done some horrible things in my life that I've shared with people that have helped them. Campbell has mentioned a few things himself, and there's not one person I've come across that hasn't had some good or bad experiences by how they want to judge their own experiences, and by honestly sharing that with other people, it's helped them. Don't do this, do that, all in relation to where you want to go or where you don't want to go. So, share with the class, by all means. Write an article. We have on our website that Campbell and I are working on, uagora.ca, we have the 4Cs forum at the top, which is all for anybody who wants to write an article, a poem, a picture, a song, and to share their perspective. We have a consciousness section, and a community section, I might add, that is just for sharing your perspective on how you're happy or not happy and got there. So, we'd be delighted to hear from you.
We would. And this is all we're doing is asking questions. Well, actually, what we're doing is really trying to get you to ask yourself a question. We're not telling you we know the truth. We're not telling you that we're gurus or anything like this. We're telling you that we've been on a path. We've found some interesting questions. We've found some interesting answers. And, I myself have definitely learned a ton, from books, from other people speaking and that. So that's, apart from the fact that I was kind of pushed to do this, that's really why I do this is, I'm just, trying to put out perspectives, and my whole perspective is I just want to make people think a different thought. If you think a different thought, take a different action. You take different action, you get a different result, and that's it. And so this is the thing. And if what we're saying is triggering you, do keep in mind that's got nothing to do with us, because there's a lot of people in the chat at the moment. 83. Not everyone's getting triggered, so clearly it's not what's being said. It's how it's being received. And this is, again, bring everything back to you. So, you can yell at the world and you can yell at us. And please do, because it helps the algorithm. Leave a comment yelling at us. But this is all about, this has to be personalized. This has to all be brought back to ourselves. Exactly like I just said, if we're triggering you, why are we triggering you? It's not a question to yell at the world. It's a question to ask yourself. You don't like where you are. Why? What have you done to get there? What do you need to change? You can go and yell at the world. I don't like my house. I don't get paid enough. It's not going to change anything. All right. Because you put yourself where you are, and only you can get yourself out of it. So everything is your fault. It is the most empowering statement there is, as far as I'm concerned. And it took me, seriously, a few years to get my head around it. The first time I heard it, I was like, what? That doesn't seem to make sense, because the government, right, and this, and what they put in the water. But as you go along, you figure out that you don't have to obey the government. You don't have to drink water from the supermarket. It's all our choice. And that's what this all comes back to. It's all your choice, and it's all your fault, what choices you make. So if you make a bad choice, change it. Right? It's just a mistake. It's not a mistake. It's just a mistake. So take 2, take 3, take 47 if you need to.
Yeah, it really, if you look from a higher perspective and you do say, why am I here? As I heard in my dreams last night, I would suggest, if you get to a point where you're blaming someone, you find a different answer. Because, the blame is going to leave you stuck as to why you're there. If you're saying why you're there and then you're pointing at the government or your ex or your even your health, or something that you say is not your fault, or something that happened when you were little, you, by definition, with blame, get stuck to where you are, because you're waiting for something to change outside of you to move you from where you are. Right? If it's Billy's fault or Janie's fault or the government's fault or my body's fault or the chemtrails fault or the water fault, as Campbell said, then you need something outside of you to change before you can move. That's what you're telling the world. And, then you're stuck and you can't move. So, practically speaking, Campbell and I are actually being friendly and loving by suggesting it's all your fault, because we're saying I don't even like to use the word believe, but we're saying we have faith. I guess you can use the word faith. I see a lot of people quoting the Bible. We have faith in your ability to figure things out for yourself, so that you have the strength to pick yourself up, and with that faith, move yourself to where you would like to go. And it seems to me that's the best faith in the world, is to have faith in your fellow man and woman, that they can figure out what they need to figure out for themselves and move themselves to a better place without requiring anybody's help, aid, or assistance, although you may very well get that. But, to me, it seems like we're being the most loving, friendly men on the planet by suggesting you can do it. We believe in you. We know you have the power. You just have to accept the responsibility that it's all your fault.
It is. And it is, a different perspective. This is not really what you hear when you go to the self-help community. And there's a big reason for that, is that information was 2019 and before. That was a box. That was a box. That's why nothing ever changed. Yeah. That's why, the world didn't change after 30, 40 years of these gurus making billions of dollars. Nothing changed for most people. It's because it was the wrong information. So we're trying to give better information, which is really, it's all your fault. Sort out yourself, spend time with yourself, work it out, stop listening to the outside world, stop letting people tell you what you need to do, who you need to be. That's the real information. This whole, focus on this and say this mantra 12 times a day and sit cross-legged and then, do this and then, no one can tell anyone else I can't tell Lorenzo how to live his life. I don't know what Lorenzo wants. I can't climb inside his subconscious and, look around. I can't go into his past and see what he's, how he sees the world. And we know that's just a stupid concept, right? But how many people actually actually live like that. They run around, they try and change everyone else's life. It's like, my life's not good because Lorenzo didn't send me 10 grand last month. Do you know that? Oh my God. And now I have to suffer.
I'm saving. Coming soon.
I mean, and this is a good way, like with your own thoughts, like take them out to ridiculousness. You know, if there's a trait in yourself and you don't want to look at it, just cartoon it,
Yeah,
make it
good.
so stupid that you laugh at it, and then you're like, oh, okay, God, all right, I'll stop that. You know, don't be so hard on yourself. And we all make, we all make mistakes, but mistakes are good. Again, right? They're telling you the wrong information. A mistake is good as long as you do it again, right? As long as you take two, it's good. If you take one and you give up, well, that's bad. But that's society telling you mistakes are bad. Right? It's just learning. A mistake is just you learning how to do or how not to do something, and that's it. Then you do it again. Either you do it again better. Yeah. So it's all you. It's all you. And when it comes down to it, we can't even prove there's anyone else down here. It's just us.
Yeah, you can't prove anything about anyone. You don't know what a politician is doing or why. You don't know what the person spraying the chemtrails, if it even is a person, maybe it's a pilot, and why. I mean, I had a conversation with my father a few days ago, and he told me information about his first 7 years of life. And literally, of course, I've known my father my whole life. He's my father. And I heard new information, he's in his 80s now, that I never heard before. So a whole lifetime later, he told me, and I can share because I don't really hiding it. For the first 7 years of his life, he didn't see his father because of the war going on in World War II, and he was conscripted and then lost in a hospital for a couple of years. Russia, Poland, sort of situation where supposedly he had these experiences where they gang pressed him, and I'm going, and I'm looking literally gobsmacked or dumbstruck at my father when I'm chatting with him and go like, you never told me this. I'm more than a middle-aged adult at the moment, and this is a huge bit of information about him and who he is and all the judgments I had about his way that he was a father growing up when I was little and even when I was a teenager in my 30s and 40s. And I was going, why weren't you better at this? And why weren't you better at that? And why weren't you a stronger man? And why didn't you teach? And then I found out, wait a minute, that's crazy. I go, that's just crazy that...
yeah, exactly.
That
he didn't have anyone to get the traits off when he was 7, right? And you didn't know that, and so you judge, blah 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 blah, and then we find out more information, and it's like, oh, that's why. And this is why we shouldn't judge. We don't know what anyone else has done, and when we judge, we put thoughts in charge.
Yeah.
So every time Lorenzo went back and thought about his dad, he was thinking, oh, he just did, what a mean man. He didn't do the right job. He was selfish. He was focused on work or whatever. And he wasn't thinking, oh, geez, he had to, live for 7 years, without a father. Wow, he's done well to get where he is from there. So yeah. This is what happens when we judge, right? I don't think I've ever met anyone who's judged a situation and been 100% accurate. I don't think that exists because it can't. And even if you think it is, you ask someone else and their perspective is different anyway. So this is the thing, the outside world, it will do everything it can to change you. But if you let it, then you're not being yourself. And someone did say, when things go, basically something like, when things are going well, it's all my fault. And 100%, you go and ask someone, who's happy, like we talked about before, who's living their best life, and you say, hey, it's all your fault. And they're going to go, bloody oath, 100%, I built this. This is my fault. Yeah. And that's a good point, So again, it's the same question, but you ask someone who loves their life and someone who hates their life the exact same question, you get two completely different reactions. The same question. So that just shows you that it's us. We are the determining, we're the differential. We're the thing that determines our lives. It's not what's coming in, it's how we act to it. We don't want to react, but how we act.
Yep.
So, and are you acting in your life or are you reacting? Are you taking that breath and building on that gap when things happen so you can think and then act rather than like, something happens and it pricks you and you're like, rah! Because when you do that, something's in charge of you. You've put a thought in charge of you. It's in charge. You've either put it in a positive or a negative charge.
Yeah.
Now he's in charge.
Yeah, I saw a comment, somebody that was a little upset. It said that their children don't speak to them anymore. I'm guessing it's a woman. It was a woman's picture that came up. You know, my mother has three daughters, and one of them is, strangely enough, the one that lives close to her is the only one that will never talk to her, right? Which is really strange. You know, the two other daughters that live further away still talk to my mother. And I find that, you know, if you're having challenges with your children, once again, look at yourself, right? You might say, I've been a good mom and I've given everything and I don't know why they're not talking to me. And maybe there's no reason you can come up with. Maybe you have been good in your eyes. Maybe you've been giving and caring. I mean, my mom would say that. My wife's mom would say that. But, you know, if, you know, they don't know why the children aren't treating them better or the way they want to be treated better. But when you take a deep look into their personality and who they are, I've seen it's always a reflection of them, right? Why these experiences are coming back to them, right? You know, I was an angry man, so I didn't talk to my parents. I became a more loving man, so I decided to talk to my parents. It was me having to figure out who I was before I changed my relationship with the outside world, which changed my relationship with the inside world, or the other way around. So once again, if your children won't talk to you and that's bothering you for whatever reason, you know, come to that point is like, why is this happening? And again, not with blame, but, you know, figure out for yourself why you're sitting where you're sitting in life. And, you know, maybe you need to be independent. You know, we can look on the sweet side of it, and you're not supposed to talk to your children anymore. You know, mama bears in the wild send their kids away. Go be free, get the F out of here. You know, I've got to get on with my life too now. So maybe there's a time in your life where you're not a mom anymore, right? When your kids are 18, 19, 20, you've done your job, you've raised them, they're gone. Let them go. Go do something else. Maybe you need to figure something else out with your life. Again, I'm just guessing. I don't know you. I don't know the other person. I'm just throwing some ideas out there that maybe it could be helpful for you. And I see the lady going, yep. So maybe, you know, you're understanding, and thank you for your patience with my explanations, that there is an idea and a way to get beyond whatever seems to be challenging you, even if it's pretty horrible.
Yeah, and always bring it back to yourself. As soon
Yeah.
as you say, my kids, you know, you're stuffed, right? You're stuffed. A thing about parenting is a lot of people end up as parents and it's not really planned right. It happens very quickly, and we end up and then you get a job and you got to get a house and all this goes on, right? And so most parenting isn't planned, right? It's not conscious.
No.
And so we tend to parent on programs. So that's a good question as well. Is what is parenting? What kind of parent are you trying to be? And is it because of how you were raised? Is it because of what society's telling you? Because probably the best perspective is your kids, right? Who would be their ultimate parent? You know, and people will no doubt go, oh my God, they just would ask for lollies, and that would be no, that's not true. Kids want support and love, and they want to be, you know, told the right thing. They want all that. You know, we've seen what happens with kids who don't get that and not happy, well-formed, you know, humans. So, you know, what is it? What would your children, you know, if you ask your child, what do you want in a parent? What would they say? Are you doing that? You know, are you overbearing? You know, can you let go? Like Lorenzo said, are your children at a point where they're needing more freedom and you're maybe not letting, you know, not wanting to give that to them? You know, because if you love something, set it free. Let it grow. Trust in it. Trust in the work you've put in it. And this is another thing. If you've done a good job as a parent, then what are you worried about? You've created a good human. And with my kids, really the only thing I was really only focused on the lesson I really wanted to get through was I just wanted them to be able to think for themselves. And that was my main focus, because if they can think for themselves properly, they can get through any situation that comes up to them. If I went and taught them, okay, if this situation arises, do this. If this situation, they're going to go out in the world and they're going to walk straight into a situation that I've never told them about. Always have. So, teach your kids to be self-educated is my thing. But yeah, what is your parenting method? Is it really yours, or is it your parents, or is it society's? You know, what's the outcome you want for your children? And also, are they at the point, you know, you need to start letting go as they grow older. You need to give them more freedom to be who they are becoming.
Yeah, you know.
There we go. Little.
No, it's
I did also.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just want to mention I did see another comment by, I think it was Bobby, who's having some issues with an ex and everything. I would say, you know, a lot of the time we react and we get into these situations, and it kind of stops us thinking, right? We get emotionally caught in things, and it's often a good time to just stop, take some time, ask some proper questions, maybe write them down, and ask, you know, spirit, right? Whatever you want to call that thing, God, the Akashic record, a higher intelligence. What do I want to do? This is my intention. How do I get through this? Because when we push, you can't push without something pushing back. If you push and there's nothing pushing back, it's called walking forwards, right? So when we push, we create another force pushing back against us. So when we get in these situations, that's what we create all the time, and you can't move. You get stuck in this thing. So my advice on that is to cut the energy, stop, take control, center yourself, and just start again. Ask yourself, how do I get through this? How do I get to the best result? What do I do? And then trust yourself and follow that intuition, which, of course, intuition, right? Tuition, learning, learning.
There really is. You really have no choice except to let everyone go, to what I've seen, because even if you don't want to, even if it's hard, even if you think you've been done wrong, what was there? There was an old quote by one of the old, I forget his name now, but getting angry with someone is like taking poison for yourself and pretending you're hurting someone else, right? You're sitting there getting angry with someone. Mark Twain, that's it. You get angry with someone, so it's like punching yourself in the head to get even with them, right? So you could be sitting there angry, you could be sitting there feeling bad, you could be sitting there saying they've done something wrong, but you're not hurting them. I mean, your kids are doing what your kids are doing, your ex is doing what your ex is doing, your friends you met 30 years ago are doing what they're doing, and pretty much probably no one's thinking about you anymore. Right? They're getting on with their lives. Usually everyone's self-concerned or concerned with their own lives and pretty much full. So when it comes down to it, is if you see why you're stuck with what you're stuck with and you move beyond that from your experience with them, your kids, your ex, your job, your money, your government, your health, you can move from that by finding, and I do agree with Campbell there that, let something else talk with you. Could be a book, could be a child, could be a movie, could be a voice from your significant other when you're asleep. It could be anything that comes in and gives you some advice that you didn't think of yourself. And the trick then is to pick it up and run with it.
Yep, indeed. And I'm no redneck, don't let anyone else be right. I've just sort of been looking at some of the comments here. And yeah, most people are sort of agreeing with us. Wow. Must have got rid of the haters. It really is all your fault. Everything we go through, and they get us young, right? They get us at 4 or 5 years old, and they get us into school and all this, and everything is the outside world. This is the world. The world is buildings and cars and jobs and people telling you what to do, and they never tell you that the world is inside you. They never tell you that what you see out there is actually happening in here, do they? So everything, we're taught to look at the world reversed. We're taught to yell at the world, but the way I look at this, I look at results. People have been trying this stuff for years. So you just look at where people are. Look at the people who yell at the world and who want to blame. Where are they? How did that work for them? And I also saw a comment, good things come to those who wait. Do they? Do they really? Or is that just a saying? Because we have many sayings that aren't true. And I haven't seen anyone who is just waiting as far as doing nothing, waiting. I've never seen anything good come to those people. I see them get more frustrated. I see them get more full of blame because they're waiting for something outside of them to do something. And this is the whole crux of what we're talking about. And we've mentioned it before. If you're sitting, watching Netflix, waiting for anyone to save you, be it Jesus, be it a solar flash, be it the 5D world, the ascension, I've got to tell you, that's all great and fine if they turn up. If they don't, you're kind of stuffed. All right. So how about this for another way? How about if you put in all the effort and you do what you need to do, and then they turn up? Awesome, you get extra help. But if they don't turn up, you're still going to end up where you want to be. So anything about this, the unit, things are, waiting for things. And if I'm just do this, then the universe will send me something. And if I just chant, and, this is all a magical spell trying to get us to believe in magical spells.
Really.
It really is. The only thing that works is action, because, we are a soul with a body, but we're in the body at the moment. We need to use physical. We need to interact with the physical world. We need to move. We need to do things. We can't just sit on a rock and imagine things to happen. We need to do that as well. But we need to integrate the inside world to the outside world, is what I'm trying to say, because we're a Taurus, right? Whatever's inside is also outside, and whatever's outside is also inside. That's a Taurus.
So you generate it. I mean,
did I make sense?
Makes sense.
I'm not sure if I understood what I just said.
I remember. It's interesting. Harold Kotz.
I'm right. I must have made sense.
You're right on. I remember Harold Kotz telling me that he saw somebody with a Taurus, and it changed his life with his reality and how he saw energy and the creative, even time. From what I've heard and seen, as an illusion, right? It's something that goes on between our ears. Past, present, future. Anything could change in the moment. So, sin, social insurance number. I saw that mentioned as well. I think sin is just the old Spanish without, right? They give you a number when you're born. Who cares? Right. That, I knew a fellow when I was doing print that for 12 years was chasing his credit that came with his banknote, with his birth certificate, with his name, with his number. Supposedly that's $10 million that the governments have that are hiding on you. And, I saw my birth certificate. It literally says Bank of Canada on it, which is, of course, freaky. I still have my original birth certificate that I had from when I was 3 years old. And you look on it and it says Bank of Canada on my birth certificate, which is the most bizarre thing you can think of. You go, what the hell is that doing on my birth certificate? So even if there's the most nefarious, evil demons saying they own you, we put a number on you, here's your card proving it. When you were in the hospital, we tattooed it on your left foot. And because of that, you are now ours. Now, as Campbell said, that's a spell. That's something you can believe. I could look at the bank of my bank certificate and go, oh my goodness, they own me. and now I have to fight. And that guy, as far as I know, is still fighting for his money, is still living in horrible circumstances with people. And, he's still living with 78 people in a cabin somewhere in a hippie commune, waiting and filling out. And he showed me filling out hundreds of sheets of paper and arguing with his numbers and getting lawyers and figuring out the logistics and the definitions and all of these things to supposedly get this illusionary money that's in a bank somewhere that has his name on it that the government stole from him at birth. And I tell you what, he's getting older and he's going to die soon like everybody, and probably just wasting his time instead of going, well, I don't care how many numbers they put on me when I was 6. That's not my reality. I'm going to do this. And then it's over once again, because it's your fault. It's your responsibility. You can pick that up and move away from that. And no matter how hard it is or how much it may be true for other people, it doesn't really matter. It's a long story to say, as crazy as the world is, as demonic as the world is, as evil as the governments have been, and I've seen all of it, and I agree with all of it. They're rat bastards, pretty much right down to the core of everything and what they're trying to do. But but the bottom line in all that is, you don't got to listen to any of them, even if it's challenging, and go the other way somehow, anyway, however you figure it out, and then share with the class. Once again, share with the class. Let us know how you've succeeded, how you failed. It's why we have our new form going. Campbell and I have 3 more of these. When we're running out our course, our 9 video series. This is number 6 for the live streams. After that, we're open to other ways that we could be sharing in these live streams, and it might be solutions, it might be failures, it might be simple stories of the people that have been watching us to this point, where it's not just Campbell and I sharing our perspective. We would be delighted for other people's perspectives to come in and allow, as we say, the class to grow with your wealth of wisdom that would be definitely far beyond what Campbell and I have, because there's more than 2 of us here, or so it seems, enjoying this conversation.
Everyone's a piece of the puzzle. We've all got things that are relevant. We've all got information that's going to help and empower others. So I would definitely say get out there and definitely, if you want to have a chat with us, let us know. We'll get you up here and go live and we want to learn as well. I would say, and I think I said it last week, I think we probably learn more than anyone by doing this, because, like Lorenzo said, he was up last night, thinking about this topic and what to do and all this kind of stuff. So, it's again, this is not us trying to tell you how to live your life. It's just us trying to get you to ask different questions, which we're doing ourselves. And thank you very much, Gen2 Gone, for your support. Do appreciate you. But this is, I had something I was going to say and I've forgotten completely what it was. But basically, this is what it comes down to. And we kind of get into these spirals of repeating ourselves when we're on this, but you're the power. You can look at this statement, everything is your fault, as an empowering thing or as a depowering thing. And that's just perspective. And I would say that if you're looking at it as, non-empowering, that's probably from outside information, right? Because they're getting you to focus on the negative. Like, if everything's your fault, if you've got kids, but you don't necessarily like your job or whatever, well, if you've got good kids, they're your fault too. There's always something good. We're not, we tend to look at, I don't like my job, I'm not getting enough, life's hard, so everything sucks. Well, not really. Like I said, have you got kids? Have you got pets? Are you an artist? Do you write? Do you put interesting, funny comments in streams and make people smile? We've all got good things. So that's your fault too, right? So keep that in mind. We're not, if you don't exactly love where you are, we're not saying everything's bad, but it is your fault. And that means that you can change it. And the best way to change is start focusing on the good things, because we all tend to focus on the bad things. And especially at the moment, the media is on steroids. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people helping the media. Right? The media puts something out in the news, and then you have 10,000 people on social media putting it out further. Look at this. And then you have the people reacting to the people who have put it out. That's all outside fluff. And it's on steroids because they know energy's rising, people are asking questions, and they want to fill your head with what they want you to create. And that's, again, they can't create, they, right? They, the people that aren't us, they can't create. We can. So how do they build the world they want? They put a spell in our head and make us create it for them. So the outside world, spend more time on your inside world, I think, is what we're trying to say, and get your answers and your questions from there, and work from that point out, inside out, right?
Yeah. And perhaps
if you don't go within, you go without.
And perhaps if you do have children, share your stories with them, not your mask. Not what you think, the tough father or the loving mother, what you think is possible. My mother had a mask her whole life and it literally killed her at the end. My father too, until I've learned more from him now that he's getting older and his mask is softening, as it does for a lot of people when they get older because they're getting closer to their last breath. Share with your children the honest you, the challenges you had, who you were before you had children, because they don't know that. Obviously they couldn't have known you before they were born. So get into the grit and the dirty and the experience or the great, and take that chance that they'll hate you or laugh at you or whatever it is that's hiding what you're afraid to share, and see what that brings you. I really once again wish my parents had shared with me. They're honest. When they were younger, when I was younger, it would have made my relationship with them a whole lot stronger and a whole lot, better. Now that my grandparents are gone and my parents are almost gone, and it's in some ways too late to build a relationship with them. Obviously, my grandparents that are gone, I'm hearing stories that, they could have. I'm not going to say should because there's no shoulds, but they could have shared with me when I was 5, 6, 7, 8, even though maybe they thought at the time I was too young, and it would have made a huge difference in my life. And probably their life too. So once again, it's honesty.
Yeah, I think speaking like that makes more well-rounded children. When children get the perspective that their parents are just a job, and then they come home and they're normally pissed off, and then they sit around on the weekend. They just see this persona. They see the persona. They don't understand what's really going on. And we're getting 45 minutes in, so I just finished on a point. I saw a video last night, and it was this lady, and she started a charity. Basically, they go around and they get people to grow vegetables in their backyards, all these backyards that aren't being used, and then they use it and they sell it and they help people. But they were talking to her, and she was telling her story about how she ended up doing that, and it was because her father was a prison guard, but he wasn't very good at writing and reading and writing, right? And so, but he had to write reports on the prisoners. So every night he'd have to go home and he would tell his wife what happened in the day. And he would tell, his experiences and about the prisoners and about all these things. And this little girl would hear it all. And so she got this big perspective on life, on why people do things, on why they are like they are. And so I think the more information like that, it makes us less judgmental. We can then start to see that people, do things maybe because they had a really bad time. And when we understand that, we can then maybe, understand that we might be able to help them, get them to ask different questions, whatever. But, if her dad just came home every night from prison and he was just like, oh, yeah, bloody work, this prisoner sucked, this prisoner I had a good conversation with, good night. She wouldn't have anywhere near the perspective that she has. And she definitely wouldn't be doing what she's doing, which is basically changing the lives, literally, of many people. So show your kids who you are. Yeah, definitely. And kids are never going to hate you for who you are or what you did. They're going to understand. They're actually going to be grateful that you're being honest to them. And then they're going to be the kid who's got a good, relationship with their parents, because there's not that many of them around at the moment, and that'll make them feel empowered as well. So
Yep.
Give of yourself to those who deserve it.
Most important thing is experience, not what you think people need, not what you think they need by money or education. All those things can be important, but it's your personal living experience, what you did, what you didn't do, and how that affected your heart and your energy and your feelings. Wow, that stuff's worth way more than anything else you can put in your bank or fill up your wallet with. By giving them those gut reactions to horrible experiences, or those, heartfelt experiences that were beautiful and wonderful for you. That's the true gold I feel you can pass along to your children or your friends or your wife or your husband or your partner, whatever your preferences happen to be in your life and who you want to spend your time with. As long as you're breathing, there's still time. And, Campbell and I are going to do a video next week on, beyond that point. But for now, I want to say I appreciate everyone that's been here. I thank you so much. We love you. Go to our Patreon page. We have a new video we're going to put up very soon. Spelling Yourself Home, only for patrons. We have Toll the Self, The Mode of Emotion, and Spelling Yourself Home, 3 videos that are only for Patreons right now. More information going up all the time. It's only $10 a month. Probably, you can't buy a couple of coffees for that. We'd love to see you there. And for those of you that want to share, I see Martin's been on here as well. You're welcome to come on and chat too. I think that was Martin, Mr. Litka, if I'm hoping I'm pronouncing your name right. Yeah, hoping I'm pronouncing your name right. And
definitely was.
And anyone else that wants to intelligently share with us, you're more than welcome to come along. We have a course. I do one-on-one. We have a Patreon page. There's some music coming that I've made. A shout out to Felice if she's watching. She made a great song for us called Beyond the Self. We're going to release soon too. A song of hers is already on Campbell's channel. So we're literally making beautiful music together by those that want to come and join us. And she wrote us out of the blue. And she said I can sing. And I wouldn't have believed in a million years she could sing the way she sang from the 3 conversations I had until I got the song. Yeah, I got the song in my inbox yesterday, and literally tears are going down my eyes. I'm going, oh my goodness. So the surprise behind the eyes of people. Yeah, the surprise behind the eyes. If you let out.
Sorry, I was just talking over you. I was just going to say that this is the thing, right? And when I got the first, I was like, oh, yeah, this is just something I thought I'd record. I just sort of threw it together. And I'm like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
And so this is what and Felice is obviously out there taking action. But this is the thing, don't discount, the good stuff in you. Whatever you do that's good, that, tell yourself it's good. Live into that, because this is another thing. They want you to tell you that's ego. How dare you say you're good at something? Oh, that means you're bad, and that means you're trying to say everyone else is worse than you. No, that's all crap. But anyway, there we go. Thank you for everyone being here. 130 of you still watching. Martin, yes, hello. Shari, Hippie, everyone. Shari, if you want to come on and have a chat about your new password, maybe. Anyone else who wants to have a chat, let us know. You can get us on links below, email address, and the website. And of course, you'll find links to our course in our Patreon. So there you go. Another live done and dusted. So thanks for joining us. Have an amazing week, and we'll talk to you next Friday.
Cheers.
Ciao for now.
Love you all. Thanks for being here.
When I face my death, people woke up and there ain't no sorrow. wanna tell you that only reason I don't wanna give it up came down from the heavens above and told all the people calling this is it now. Got this trust in our life, do we make a difference? What the fuck you gonna do? Stand up and know your part too hard. Open up and a piece of come now. This is it, is this what we've been waiting for? Warrior dream again, your destiny. Uphold the will, not compromise. Hey, nay, nay. Freedom, 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 yeah. Freedom, freedom, freedom is calling us. Freedom, 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 yeah. Freedom, freedom, freedom is calling us. Stepping it up, taking a chance, risking it all. We're going crazy. Stepping it up,